What is up, YouTube? What is up, Canada? Matt McKeever here. And in today's video, we're going to be talking about the Governor General. So if you guys haven't been following the news whatsoever, I don't blame you. There's not a lot of news there to be had, but there actually is a story that we've been following for a little bit now, and it seems like it's growing into a bigger story. So one, obviously, because this is an active story, there's still going to be a lot of facts developing, but I suspect we're going to hear a lot more about the Governor General and the general chaos all around our current or our previous Governor General, I guess I should say. So in today's video, we're going to talk about how former Governor General Julie Payette was able to operate so abusively in her role for as long as she did. And as well, how did the government of Canada not know about her? Because this wasn't the first time she's had issues with her direct reports or other people that she works with. And in fact, she's been forced out a couple times in the past. And we're going to explore that because that's actually pretty relevant to this entire story. And then should Payette be unable to collect the same monies other governor generals receive? Because if you guys don't know, this is actually a really cushy fucking job. And once you get done with it, you're set for life. So essentially, by being a giant B word, she's going to be set for life now, and she got to quit early because of it. So let's really dive into this a little bit. So the first thing we're going to be referencing here is, what is the Governor General? So probably most of us at some point in time have heard something about the Queen appoints the Governor General. They're kind of the head of state, but I mean, does this really matter? Well, the Governor General represents Her Majesty the Queen at the federal level in Canada. And whoever is appointed to this role typically serves for 5 years. Sometimes it can be extended, I think, up to 7 years. And it's responsible for summoning, proroguing, and dissolving Parliament, reading the speech from the throne, and giving Royal Assent, which turns acts of Parliament into law. This individual is also viewed as the Commander-in-Chief of Canada, regularly visiting military bases and honoring Canada's military personnel on behalf of the Queen. In other words, the Governor General is actually quite a prestigious position, you know, until someone royally fucks it up. See what we did there? That pun was definitely intended. Anyways, let's introduce the scandal behind what's going on now. So on January 21st, upon receiving the results of the Rideau Hall workplace review that concluded that she had created a toxic work environment, Julie Payette offered her resignation to Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. Payette's secretary, Assunta di Lorenzo, relinquished her position as well, and Chief Justice Richard Wagner will now fulfill the role of Governor General on an interim basis. So let's get a little bit more into the backstory here. So this is going to be coming from CTV News, and a reminder, everything we're talking about is in the link in the video description down below. So make sure you guys check it out if you want to see our sources. But as well, remember, this is a two-way conversation. So I really do want to hear from you guys and hear what's your opinion on this entire situation as well. Even taking a step back from this, I'd love to hear just what's your thoughts in general about the Governor General and how necessary that really is, especially once we find out the cushy job for life that it seems to be. But so in July 2020, CBC News ran a report. In it, a large number of public servants and former employees spoke out about how Payette verbally abused staff. This prompted the Privy Council office to seek a third-party review of working conditions at Rideau Hall. This review was performed by Quintet Consulting, and now multiple sources have told the CBC that the final report includes claims of physical contact initiated on staff by Payette as well. So it appears that it's not just verbal abuse. And some of those interviewed for the report said the behavior made them feel threatened. Payette is also said to have screamed at, belittled, and publicly humiliated employees. And all about 100 public servants volunteered to participate in the third-party review. Payette issued the following statement upon her January 21st resignation. So, while no formal complaints or official grievances were made during my tenure, which that's interesting, which would have immediately triggered a detailed investigation as prescribed by the law collective agreement in place, I still take that these allegations very seriously. Everyone has a right to a healthy and safe work environment at all times, under all circumstances. It appears this was not always the case at the office of the Secretary to the Governor General. Tensions have arisen at Rideau Hall over the past few months, and for that, I'm sorry. Payette went on to say, we all experience things differently, but we should always strive to do better and be attentive to one another's perceptions. So this maybe on the surface doesn't sound like a big deal. She sounds like she's really playing it down. But once we dive into her history of abuse, it becomes a lot more apparent that this is a pattern. But before we get into the pattern behind her abuse, let's talk about some additional issues faced by staff that have come up since. So the CBC report staff informally relayed accusations of Payette's behavior to Human Resources. The ombudsman. God, I always screw that word up. Let's just skip that word. And their union, but nothing ever came from those actions. Additionally, several staff members abandoned their jobs at Rideau Hall because they felt that this was their only option. And so I think that that's really the thing here, right? I think that she understood that she was in such a position of power that it would be very intimidating for an individual to file that formal complaint. And yet we're hearing that it sounds like some people at least went through informal channels. If not, some of those channels sound pretty formal. So when will the final report come out on the work environment? All that, because this is what we actually want to see, right? They can redact the names, but hopefully they won't redact the facts on us. Right now, it's actually tough to say, but we can expect it's going to be, a heavily redacted version of it. The Privy Council office commented, in order to maintain the impartiality of this process, the report will only be released following the appropriate redactions in accordance with the law. As such, we will not be commenting on specifics of the report. So that sounds like that would be where it ends. But first, let's talk about this severance package that Payette stands to be paid out, because this is actually massive in my opinion. So sources have told CBC Payette resigned from her COO position at the Montreal Science Centre in 2016 following complaints about how she treated employees. So back in 2016, she was already leaving as COO of the Montreal Science Centre. She received $200,000 in severance for that situation. Then Payette, sources say, also left her post at the Canadian Olympic Committee in 2017 after multiple claims of her employment harassment, including verbal abuse. How did neither of these instances impact her ability to become Governor General in 2017? She literally ran away from her last two places because she was so abusive, and yet we see fit to promote her to essentially one of the highest positions in the realm. This is fascinating. So anyways, the Privy Council President Dominic LeBlanc commented on this and said, there was obviously a vetting process that took place, but I don't think we can pretend that it was adequate. It's being reinforced, obviously, and made more robust. I can only imagine what this vetting process looked like. Do the Liberals like her? Check mark. Okay, let's give her a sweet, cushy position. Trudeau has also promised a better vetting practices. I really do hope this is important because, again, the amount of money we're going to waste, one, on this investigation, two, on all the just distractions involved with this entire bullshit, and three, if she actually keeps her compensation package, I'm going to come to that in a moment, we're actually going to lose a lot of money. So Trudeau, and then last Friday on January 22nd, he didn't apologize for Payette's reported conduct, but said this instead. Everyone has the right to a safe and secure workplace. There's that exact same phrase that we heard from the Governor General. People who've worked in Rideau Hall over the past years have done so in sometimes difficult circumstances, and we thank them deeply for their work. We'll continue to ensure everyone who works for the government or anywhere in Canada continues to have safe and secure workplaces. So now, what about the money she's expected to actually receive? Well, according to the Governor General's Act, former vice regals are entitled to an annuity. So at the time, said annuity totals $149,484 annually, but also available as a lifetime expense program to cover office and travel costs up to another $206,000 per year. Per year. Deputy Prime Minister Chrystia Freeland has explained Payette's access to these funds are under review, but notes all former Governor Generals are entitled to the aforementioned funds. And Freeland said, it is buttressed by laws, and those laws include the pension to which all former Governor Generals are entitled, explained Freeland during an appearance on Power and Politics. That's just the law, and I think we all agree we need to follow the law. She continued, in terms of the other aspects of the life of someone who has served as Governor General, after they are no longer serving as Governor General, all those issues are under careful consideration. So Conservative and NDP leaders obviously, were unimpressed by what's going on here. So on Monday, Conservative leader Erin O'Toole said, Payette resigned her role. She should not be able to access the normal courtesies provided to Governor Generals. The office, sadly, has been sullied. Also on Monday, NDP leader Singh added this. There's a couple things that people are really upset about. One is that the Governor General resigned, and secondly, resigned in light of a report that shows some really troubling examples of harassment of staff and poor work conditions. Given those two elements, people are wondering why someone would receive what seems like a reward for really bad behavior. So really, this question has to be directed at Justin Trudeau. What was the agreement that he put in place that participated in the resignation? Now, this is an amazing question that Singh brought up here. So let's dive into this terrific question. So oftentimes resignations or dismissals of this stature have carrots. attached to them rather than sticks in order to make this divorce much more palatable to the parties so that they just disappear quietly and don't put up a fight. You know, if it's discovered, the Governor General the Government of Canada promised the Governor General Payette would receive the normal compensation for outgoing Governor Generals, regardless of her behavior, as long as she resigned when she did. That's a whole other program or a whole other issue that we'd have to dive into. I look forward to probably diving into this later this year. But here's my conclusion. If Payette wants to prove that she's not a giant total fucking bitch, what she should do is just decline the offers from the Governor General's position. So she should literally just say, no, I don't want the annuity. No, I don't want the $206,000 in travel benefits every fucking year. That's what a good person would do. I have no doubts that she will not do that. But I'd love to hear your opinion. This is a conversation that I want to have two-way. Do you think, did we mischaracterize this? Did we miss the mark? Are we being too harsh on this situation? And I'm obviously very biased because part of me just wonders, do we even need a Governor General? Do we even really need a Queen anymore? Couldn't we just clean all this up and make it a little bit simpler for ourselves and a lot cheaper? But anyways, we'll cover that probably in future videos. But as for the rest of Canadians, we have to ask ourselves this. Do we really want our tax dollars going into the pocket of Payette for years to come? And if this does happen, what should the response be? Should we look at changing the rules going forward for future Governor Generals? Obviously, we definitely need to be changing the vetting process. And this should probably call to light any other high-ranking positions, you know, in the government that are appointed rather than voted in. We should really be improving and tightening up those vetting processes. Now, again, no one's perfect. However, she was in two very high-ranking, high-profile positions in the past 2 years before she took this position, where both she had to run away from because of the harassment she was causing. In fact, if anything, it's probably just surprising it took her 4 years to cause this trouble. I can only imagine, you know, how much trouble she probably caused based upon her actions at her previous two places of employment. But again, let me know, jump into the comment section. Before we wrap up today's video, I do want to see what you guys are commenting. So I appreciate, you know, Ian Jack. We've got Kirshan and Nick as well. So appreciate you guys jumping in the comments. And just want to know, what does everyone think? Even if you're watching this after we release it, jump in the comment section down below. I'm doing my best to respond to every comment on these new news videos because I think this is actually important. So Nick, we're hoping to cover GameStop tomorrow. So if you guys have been following GameStop and all the craziness that's going on with Reddit and hedge funds and the war in between, or the war that's going on with GameStop, we will be covering that tomorrow. So definitely appreciate you bringing that up. But I'd love to know, what are your thoughts in general? And Kirshan brought up, my question is, if the government knows about her behavior, then why would they appoint her in the first place? We should question the appointer. To be honest, this story is covering up the government F-up, in my opinion. Yeah, I think that overall, I'm of a similar opinion in this situation. Again, I know that government officials are in tough positions, and I don't envy at times the positions they find themselves in. But in order to take on those responsibilities, in order to get the benefits that come with those responsibilities, like, you do have to live up to the responsibilities that you step into. And so there's probably a reason why I've never wanted to run for public office so far, is simply because I'm not attracted to it, because the cost reward doesn't seem there. The bureaucracy, the bullshit, the politics, the back office dealings. I have no doubt all that played a role in the story that we're covering today. And I can almost guarantee you we'll be coming back to the story at least once or twice this year, because I imagine there's going to be more toxic waste surfacing to the surface on this, because this feels like the tip of the iceberg. But appreciate you guys. Smash the like button if you enjoyed this video. Hit subscribe if you're new to my channel. And reminder, sharing is caring, especially when it comes to these news videos, because none of them get monetized. None of them get shown on social media. So it's really up to you guys to spread the word if you're enjoying these, because again, this is a 30-day experiment. Believe it or not, we're actually already halfway through the experiment as of tomorrow, because tomorrow's Friday, right? So this is crazy shit that I'm already 2 weeks into this experiment, but I hope you guys are enjoying it. I hope we get to continue it, but your feedback and your engagement will really drive that. So appreciate you guys, and we'll see you in a little bit, because we've got another story coming.